Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at gcnlive.com.
Welcome to this week's edition of World Crisis Radio, and this is Webster Tarpley speaking to you from Washington, D.C. It's the afternoon of Friday the 13th, 2015, Friday the 13th of March, 2015, that is, and things are getting more and more dangerous as we go along, as we'll try to show. So the question now is the 47 traitors of the Republican Party. We have now entered into a major constitutional crisis, yet another one in the U.S., and we have been talking to you about the perspective. Let's put it all in perspective before we even get to the details. We have two bankrupt parties, the Republicans and the Democrats. And the question is, how do we reform this system? Well, of course, we do it programmatically with programmatic ideas, the Wall Street sales tax, the seizing of the Fed to finance a recovery. We need to have an organization. It's getting to be the Tax Wall Street Party and the United Front Against Austerity. We're developing a cadre of leaders who can actually take on this job. But you've also got to have a strategy. And the strategy has a number of elements, right? Don't support austerity measures is number one. But then there's this question, how do you deal with these two existing parties? And we've always been very clear. The Republican Party needs to be eliminated first. And the reason for this is, well, the simplest reason, if you eliminate the Democratic Party first, you're left with the Republicans, who would then proceed to institute a fascist dictatorship from which it would be almost impossible to exit. Indeed, the continuing existence of the Republican Party brings with it the threat that if they should ever get the White House, in addition to the Congress, which they now have, in addition to the Supreme Court, which they will have unless and until somebody on there is impeached, Scalia being the most obvious target, impeach Scalia. But if the Republicans ever get control of all of those, they will then proceed to institute, once again, a fascist austerity dictatorship. It will be a permanent fascist austerity dictatorship, and it will come complete with the denial of the vote, the limitation of the franchise. Remember, Scalia says that there is no right to vote under the U.S. Constitution. Isn't that something? You don't have the right to vote, says Scalia, and he's been sitting there for 30 years and nobody's laid a glove on him. And not only the right to vote, if you're black, Hispanic, young, poor, whatever it is, Democrat, anything like that, and then also the destruction of unions. And that's not hypothetical or theoretical. In this past week, the fascist Walker, a presidential contender, thanks to the Koch billions, this is getting to look like Krupp and Thyssen and Ops and the other smokestack barons and bankers who supported Hitler, and Prescott Bush, of course, among them, Harriman, Henry Ford, the Dulles brothers, but so forth. Right now we have Walker up there. The danger is that in addition to having the limitation of the franchise, which is already going forward, even Obama referred to it in Selma last weekend, you've also got the attempted destruction of the unions. And if you do all that, you will have a permanent austerity dictatorship. So it's important to eliminate the Republican Party first. After that, you can proceed, and really this would happen almost physiologically. The Democratic Party would tend to split into two camps. The majority Wall Street Democrats, we've gone through before who they are, you know who they are. And on the other hand, the minority, that would be the New Deal, pro-labor, actual populists. Today, somebody like Elizabeth Warren can pretend to be a leader of that group, but of course she has absolutely no programmatic content. What does she stand for? She doesn't like Wall Street banks. What does that mean? She won't invite them to the state dinners at the White House? Doesn't mean anything. We want to see program, not vague generalities, not gestures or symbolic actions, but mass traction economic demands keyed to the survival needs of working families here in the United States right now today. Not campaign finance reform, not GMO foods, not the Securities and Exchange Commission budget, but mass traction economic demands. Stop foreclosures, free college, refinance student debt at 0%, raise the minimum wage, and above all, the biggest of all, 30 million new productive jobs, permanent ones, and 10 million new entry-level jobs. So that's why we want the Republican Party eliminated first. We're against the entire system, but if you try to do it getting rid of the Democrats first, you will be caught by a fascist dictatorship halfway through the process. By eliminating the Republicans first, you make that fascist dictatorship less likely, and you can then proceed to have the Democratic Party divide, which would be almost spontaneous in that case, right? You can see it right now. The people who are supporting Hillary Clinton and those who are not. That's sort of the breakdown. And you can see that quite clearly. Now, the relevance of this has been the following. The Republicans are the more dangerous group at the moment. There's no doubt. The Democratic Party under Obama is, ironically, the lesser evil. And this is becoming more and more clear, even to foreign observers, right? People who thought that Obama was the warmonger in chief. Well, of course, that's a very one-sided, that's a crude distortion. Obama turns out to be the lesser evil compared to some of these warmongers who are running around. But now specifically, the Republicans, as the party of national sabotage, have attempted to bankrupt the United States with a default, right? And that gave the pretext to these predatory lending agencies to downgrade the U.S. debt. We've had two shutdowns of the entire government under Republicano-fascist auspices. We've got the sequester. We're hearing the Pentagon screaming about sequester. More important for us, the National Institutes of Health and research into dread diseases. That has been crippled by this idiotic sequester. And most recently, we had the attempt by the Republicans to hold hostage the funding of the Department of Homeland Security to their xenophobic, racist, anti-foreigner program. And it's wrong on both sides. The immigrants are necessary to build a labor force capable of competing with China. They are the vital raw material that needs to be developed, educated, fostered, made prosperous in order to compete with these quite formidable foreign opponents. And on the other side, the Republicans with that would have had a close brush with extinction. In other words, the Republicans are lurching along the ragged edge of extinction. Again, if they shut down Homeland Security and a major terrorist event erupts, they would be blamed. They would be on the road to extinction. And ironically, I don't wish for such a thing, but if you do the calculus, you'll probably see that something like that might be less catastrophic for the world than a Republican president going to thermonuclear war with Russia over Ukraine, defending a bunch of fascists in Ukraine. So that's not good stuff. So the Republican Party had one brush with extinction with this DHS where they pulled back, and now their second brush comes over the 47 traitors. We've had the 12 tyrants. Now we've got the 47 traitors put a hashtag diesis, a sharp in front of that, and you've got a very interesting program. Back in a minute on World Crisis Radio.
By now, you may have heard a bit about Bitcoins, but did you know Bitcoins are now over an $8.5 billion market? And did you know that over 65,000 businesses now accept Bitcoins? Listen, if you're already earning Bitcoins or trying to make money in the Bitcoin market, you've got to know bidbit.co. Why? Because bidbit.co is where you can easily receive Bitcoins by selling and auctioning off your own personal items or promote business products and services for Bitcoins. You heard right. Whether personal or business, you can now buy, sell, and auction your products and services quickly, easily, and securely for Bitcoin at bidbit.co, the first and only marketplace website to offer Bidbit Escrow, a proprietary technology which gives buyers and sellers security and peace of mind because all transactions are protected. Start today. It's free to join, free to post, free to auction, and free to bid at bidbit.co. Buy, sell, bid, or auction everything Bitcoin. That's www.bidbit.co, bidbit.co.
Gold isn't for you? Ted Anderson, president of Midas Resources, one of the world's premier gold and precious metal investing firms. I get it. You wouldn't buy gold if you believed that the government is doing a great job, that the Fed will stop handing out trillions of dollars like bailout candy, that Social Security would be there for you. That's not what's happening. You might even pass on gold if the stimulus package wouldn't fuel inflation, or that the dollar wouldn't lose value, or that your retirement would be secure. If all looks rosy to you, then now is not the time to buy gold. For the realists, there have never been more sobering reasons to diversify with gold. Since 2001, the U.S. dollar index has tanked 30% while gold has risen 300%. Right now, savvy investors are adding gold to their portfolios. You should too. Find out what they know. Call us and I'll send you 10 reasons why gold will do very well, free. 800-686-2237. 800-686-2237. That's 800-686-2237.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Here is what one doctor has to say about Extendovite.
I would like to thank you, Don, for making my job so much easier, because your products just make it so simple, right? To fool around with a lot of exotic things that don't work, we can just put them on your product and things start to work almost right away. I've had dozens of patients with heart problems who have corrected them, and what it's doing, there's so much garlic in there that has a yeast-killing effect. The yeast is a big problem in the gut, pushes the liver hard. It also has metal chelating effect, and most of the other herbs in there I find that strengthen the arteries. They help to neutralize free radicals. Your remedy close to what we do in our program as you can get as far as one supplement goes. It's working on the gut, it's working on the liver, it's working on the arteries. What more can you ask for?
To get your Extendovite, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
This alert just came in. This special announcement is for business owners and leaders of organizations who've been waiting for the right time to build. General Steel has made it impossible to wait any longer with rock-bottom prices that could save you thousands. That's right, General Steel, America's leader in pre-engineered structures, is offering buildings at prices you will never see again. Don't miss these prices. A 50 by 100 for $35,000. You heard right, that's 5,000 square feet for $35,000. Manufacturers, if you need a larger building, try a 100 by 100 commercial building for $129,000. You can't afford to rent with these prices. Imagine a 70 by 100 foot church building for under $69,000. With the economy improving and interest rates still at historic lows, you can't afford to wait. So call 866-91-STEEL. Lock in your price now. Call 866-91-STEEL. That's 866-917-8335.
The nation's largest independently owned and operated talk radio network. The Genesis Communications Network. G.
Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Let me invite anybody in the New York City area, if you've got time on Saturday afternoon. The protests are moving to Brooklyn, and this is